GM Zingers, my name is Logan Ross, and I'd like to welcome you to Flight 58 aboard the Moon or Bust Rocketship, your home for all things altcoins and DeFi. On today's show, we will be bringing back our good friend David Sun from Proof of Beauty Studios. These guys right here. This is my personal favorite NFT project. I think they're doing the coolest stuff with tokenomics and adding value in the coolest ways. So you guys do not want to miss it. Make sure you stick around for the third visit of Proof of Beauty Studios on Moon or Bust. Your mind will be blown, I promise. Joining me today is #1 DEX trader Ryan McNamara. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's again a beautiful day to be in crypto. I figure, I'd wear my Benjamin Cowan shirt for today. What's a few trillion among friends?
That's a very good question. What is a few trillion among friends? Drop a comment and let us know down below. While you're down there, make sure to smash the like button so this content can be shown to more people like you, and we can grow our Moon or Bust community. So very sad and unfortunate update that I have to share with you guys today. Brian will be stepping back to focus on transitioning to a brand new development role at the company, but he will be stopping by every once in a while. So make sure you tell him good luck on Twitter, and we'll hope to see him back here soon. But for now, you're stuck with us. So if you're new around here, we appreciate you tuning in. We hope you'll subscribe if you enjoy the content. Welcome to Benzinga officially. And if you watched Moon or Bust before, let us know by hitting the like button right now and sending it to a new all-time high. We're going to be talking about those new all-time highs in just a second here. But if you want to talk about a specific coin, let us know. Drop it in the comments, and we'll see if we get time to pull it up. But we'll be focusing on this amazing interview today. We also have a Telegram chat where you can become a part of the Moon or Bust community. And also, if you want this sick Bitcoin Moon or Bust hat designed by yours truly, you can get 25% off if you join the Telegram and ask for the discount code. As always, make sure to connect with us on Twitter. It's the best way to reach out. But with that out of the way, I am going to roll the intro clip and we will get right into it. All right, here we have the Bitcoin chart breaking out into new all-time highs. This top blue line is the previous all-time high right here. We smashed right through it. And Ryan, I want to hear your take on that. But first, I want to say shouts out to Mexican Crypto, Kyle, the old Zuck, and Moise. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but what's up? Welcome, everyone, to Moon or Bust. Glad to have you here with us today. So, Ryan, what do you make of this chart, this Bitcoin all-time high?
Well, first of all, of course, it's really exciting to see a new all-time high. And I don't think we've ever seen a new all-time high where we just creep above the price by maybe 2 or 3% and then head back down. So I think there is more upside to come. Obviously, it's anybody's guess, but I think we could see at least high 60,000s this week, especially with the Bitcoin ETF being approved and trading now. ProShares Bitcoin ETF, ticker BITO if you want to look into that. But I mean, at this point, we're in price discovery, right? So it's going to be really hard to put a price target on Bitcoin. I mean, we could just go up, have a correction, and then go up later on. Generally, long term, I'm pretty bullish on Bitcoin. I think Q4, we could see close to $100,000. I mean, we're already up over 100% from those lows we saw over the summer. So that's very exciting. But what do you think, Logan? Do you think we could see $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year? And where do you think we're going in the short term?
Okay, lots to unpack there. So $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. I think it's possible, but unlikely. To be honest, I would rather wait to hit that mark to a little bit later down the road. As you know, with the Benjamin Cowan shirt on, time is on our side, right? So the longer it takes for the market to top out, the higher the top will be. So I'm I'd be ecstatic if we hit 100K this year. I think it's definitely possible with all of the crazy ETF action going on. But personally, I'd rather wait until January, February. Then we can maybe see 120 to 150K as the top instead of 100K. Zuck thinks we're going to see a sell-off before 100K. I have to agree with him there. I think in the short term, we're probably going to consolidate right above this all-time high for, maybe 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks before we see another crazy move. But while Bitcoin is chilling, that presents the opportunity for other coins to rip. So let's flip over to Ethereum. I've been on these degen 1-minute candles lately, looking at them super short time frames, but I'll zoom out a little bit back to the dailies, and we can see that Ethereum is now following the pattern, just a couple days behind Bitcoin. It's finally taking off, looking for those new all-time highs. It broke through this previous resistance level, and I'll let Ryan take it over on the TA from here.
Well, Logan, do you want to tell the viewers about how you may just be the next master of margin? You entered into your first leveraged Ethereum trade the other day.
I did. Okay, so long story short, I watched Ryan do his ByBit leverage trading experiments for years, and I was always FOMOing hard. I wanted to get that leverage, get those extra tendies, but I wanted to wait for the perfect time for it. So the other day, I think it was right around here. I'm not 100% positive. It's somewhere around here, well before these rips. I got into a long on a decentralized exchange, and I did a little 20x leverage. So my liquidation price is 626.50. So hopefully we won't see it come back down here anytime soon, and I'll be able to ride that 20x out through new all-time highs and hopefully past 5K, 6K, and we'll have to see. If you guys are doing any leverage trading, let us know in the chats below. I also want to hear about the other coins you guys are looking at while Bitcoin is potentially chilling out, taking a break, playing around in the sandbox. Ryan, do you have anything on your radar that you want to talk about, or should we talk about the CoinGecko Con NFTs gone wild?
Maybe we can cover the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation for Ethereum just quickly. I think that gives a good indicator of where the market's at, especially at times like these where Bitcoin's ripping. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell from this chart, what's happening.
All right. So would you rather have me zoom out or what's good?
Oh, no, the Ethereum Bitcoin instead of Ethereum USD to see what that valuation's looking like.
Got you.
Because although Ethereum's going up right now, it's probably not going up very strong against Bitcoin. If anything, it actually might be underperforming, which, now we can see it is underperforming, which is to be expected, especially when Bitcoin's ripping. I mean, it is the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. Logan, I see you drew this triangle a little whiles back. We're towards the bottom of it now. The great thing about triangles is you can just redraw them when they go out of range. So maybe we just redraw that right now. Oops, look at it. It's still a triangle, guys.
Oh, we're still inside, guys. This is very bullish. Very, very bullish. Yeah, so I mean, like we always say around here, all models are wrong, but some are helpful. Basically, what we want to show you guys are the possible outcomes that could happen, so you guys are prepared for them and know how to handle them if they do play out. So from here, we could see it bounce back up. And while Bitcoin's playing around in the sandbox, just going sideways for a couple of weeks, we could see ETH do its own thing, get those all-time highs, and kind of reclaim some of this dominance, come back up to the top of the triangle, and kind of settle down here. It'll be very interesting to see when the end of the triangle occurs, which will be well into 2022. It will be nearly in July. Geez, what will be going on then? Will we be breaking up? Will Ethereum flip Bitcoin, or will it be business as usual? Bitcoin remains the king. Let us know in the chat what you guys think. Does Ethereum have a chance to flip Bitcoin this market cycle? And while you're down there, tap the like button and send it to a new all-time high. Okay, so we got some talk about ADA in the chat. Maybe we'll mention that real quick before we talk about NFTs gone wild. So Cardano is falling back with the other mid caps now. Pat has the ADA bag. So let me just pull up this chart for you here, Ryan. I mean, if you've seen the show before, you know that Ryan is not the biggest fan of ADA. I personally have a little bit, mostly as a hedge to my Ethereum position, and also hoping it could go up alongside Ethereum. But we see what it's been doing here. Not too much. It's looking like it's consolidating. Ryan, do you have any takes on this chart?
No, I mean, I've said it on past shows. I don't think Cardano really follows the market as well as some of these other cryptocurrencies do. I mean, we saw that last time when Bitcoin and Ethereum ripped. ADA was really close to $1 for a very long time before it had huge gains once everything else kind of slowed down. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again. But other than that, I really don't have too many comments on ADA.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think about ADA in the chat. I'm pretty bullish for the rest of this market cycle. I think we could see like an $8 to $10 ADA, which is pretty bullish. But it's going to take a lot for that to happen. I think we need to see some actual DeFi action going on the blockchain, and we need to see them sort out all of the issues that they've been having with their smart contracts. Now, you might be saying, no, these aren't issues they're having. This is how it was planned. Well, if it was planned like that, why isn't it working out like we expected? Like I'll accept that it was planned out like that, but I'm just curious why they would make that decision in the first place. So we'll have to see what they do, if they have any updates. Good old Charles Hoskinson for us in the coming days or weeks. But like you said, Ryan, Cardano, Chainlink, these projects don't really follow the normal market. They kind of play by their own rules, which I think is pretty interesting. Like we don't really see a whole lot of this. Like even Ethereum mostly just follows Bitcoin. So we will keep our eyes tuned to this and keep you guys updated. We know we got the ADA bag holders out there in the chat, so shouts out to you. So let's do a little giveaway. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. The second episode in a row, we are doing a giveaway. Today's giveaway, we will be giving away 5 tickets to GeckoCon, the NFTs Gone Wild project. If you guys are into NFTs or want to get into NFTs, this is the self-proclaimed NFT conference of the year. It's coming up in about 1 month, 27 days, and we're going to be giving away tickets over the next couple shows. So make sure you guys are stay tuned if you don't win today. However, today we will be giving away 5 tickets to the first 5 people to follow me and Ryan both on Twitter and send us a DM saying NFTs Gone Wild. So ready, set, go. I'm going to take out my phone. Ryan, you take out your phone. The first 5 people to toss us a follow on Twitter, and I'll make it full screen so you can see our handles right here. These will be the winners of the tickets, free tickets to the NFT Gone Wild Coin Gecko Conference.
Yo, Logan, while we wait, can you pull up the speakers? Let's look at the speakers who are talking at this conference, because there's some pretty impressive people joining this. I for one am excited to go. We'll be covering it. Maybe we can do a Moon or Bust episode covering CoinGeckoCon. Who knows?
That would be crazy. So if you guys saw last episode, we gave away a Trezor, excuse me, the hardware wallet. And we want to keep these giveaways coming to build that Moon or Bust support. We got Max Z just followed me. And hopefully he got Ryan as well. He will be the first recipient should he pull through here. Mexican Crypt.eth, number 2 winner for today. And we are going to go. Okay, so let's take a look at these speakers here. We got Akon. I think that we're going to be doing a panel with him, right?
Yeah, we are, I think. I mean, we're still planning it. It's either Akon or one other person from this list.
Yeah, but that'd be crazy if we got to do a little panel with Akon. I think it's in the works right now. That's what our producers were telling us. So hopefully we got it going on.
But we got people from Engine. We got people from People Pleaser DAO. We got a lot of different projects here, really cutting edge stuff. I am actually really excited to go to this.
All right, we got Kindred Duke as our 3rd winner. I know he's been a long time fan. He's been following us for a while, and he just sent the DM. So we got Aaron Brian as our 4th winner. And we got space for 1 more. So hit us up on Twitter, both of us, with a follow, and we will give you the last ticket of 5 that are available today for this conference here. So far we have Max, Mexican Crypto, Aaron Bryan, and Kindred Duke with the first 4 wins. So Ryan, who else is sticking out to you on this list here?
We got Michael Wagner from Star Atlas. That's cool. That's a project I'm definitely interested in following over the next few years. That should be a good panel. Audius, another interesting one. We covered Audius, I think it was last week, but that's a coin I'm bullish on Solana. But there's definitely a lot of different people. Friends with Benefits DAO, that's a big DAO on Ethereum, with Koopa Troopa from Twitter. So I mean, they're really deep in the space. I think that this is gonna be a great conference with a lot of really cool people.
Most definitely. All right, well, we're gonna close the giveaway for today because we have the one, the only David Sun with us here in the background. So I'm gonna bring him on stream now, and we will talk proof of beauty. David, welcome back.
Hey, nice to see you. What's in your background for both of you guys? In fact, I
Yeah.
love the Bored Ape.
Yes.
I love the London Gift.
Yes, these are the off-brand London gifts that I bootleg. But we'll be talking about the real ones that you're going to be offering soon in a little
Yeah.
bit here.
So
So
at least you didn't right-click save them and then print them out. They're still real.
I do own them. Yes, you could check the chain on that one. Okay, so David, the first time we had you on, we talked about the studios, Proof of Beauty Studios' first series, the Hash series. The second
Yep.
time we had you on, we talked about the London Gift, these projects right here, the London Token, and also the DAO that went alongside that project, and all the crazy things you're doing with the London Token, especially. So for people who might have missed the first two episodes, could you give us a quick recap on Hash and London?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to keep this as short as I can. Yeah. So TLDR for what how do we think about ourselves is we're kind of just like a group of artists building interesting NFT projects, and we like to call ourselves Proof of Beauty Studios, and we build things, and we've been building about a year and a half, I want to say. Hash being our first project that we built, which is about tokenizing history as NFTs. So you can feed in a transaction hash, and then it can be interpreted as a NFT artwork, kind of like an art blocks piece. So folks have been collecting a lot of really interesting history with that. I believe recently, just like yesterday, Vitalik was burning a lot of his coins there. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear here, but all
Go
his
for it.
shit coins, right? So a lot of folks were collecting that as history, as a hash NFT. So that was fun to see. So hash has this whole kind of like history art edge to it, and it's been very fun to see how folks are interpreting our crypto history in the form of abstract art. And people have been adding titles and descriptions to tell the story of crypto. So that's been a very fun project that we're continuing to support and iterate on and build features for. And with that, we all later built London. The London project was a project kind of really based around how do we celebrate the hard fork that happened 2 months ago, the London hard fork. So we had this whole build up with a London ERC20 token, and then we released a NFT called the London Gift, which you can see on Logan's backgrounds, canvases, and also here, which I'm happy that you guys like it. So yeah, we created these in celebration of the whole hard fork. It broke some records in the very beginning that was really cool to see. There's a whole DAO now involved that is kind of continuing the spirit of the project. It's positioning itself as a grants DAO, so it's kind of giving out money to other artists, to other projects that have a similar spirit as this project. So we've been building out London and still growing London, and we decided to make our lives more busy by creating a third thing recently called Publico. And Publico, in so many ways, is a project that just came out of a lot of different meditations that we've had about NFTs, and really, Publico isn't really one project. More so, it's kind of like I've described it to folks as almost like if we were able to blog, about NFTs, but we create an NFT for every blog that we wrote. That's what Publico would be. So we create these. They're almost like separate, very small projects. So they're like studies, is what we call them. So Open Piano is our first study about ownership, about metadata. So the key cool thing about Open Piano was it was a set of 64 NFTs, and the key catch was just the owner of token ID 0 was allowed to change how the metadata, change the artworks, change the titles and descriptions of all 64. So that was just a fun social experiment that we've done, and we've given it to already to another artist, Robness, to have him put his take into the collection, and now we're going to move on to we're working with him to find another artist to kind of take on the Olympic torch, if you will, of playing around with the set.
So Robness is the one who has the token with ID 0.
Yes, he has. He currently owns 000, and we're working with him to figure out who's the next person to put on the list.
Right. So, did he make any changes to these NFTs once he owned that? Because that's
so he's really famous for doing a lot of trash art. He's it's like a aesthetic. So he's been doing the trash art set, which he pretty much changed everything to the same thing, but one of them to 16. My Lily token ID 16 was the only one that is a little different, and I just think that's really interesting how he's playing around with like implied rarities, right? Where he's effectively playing around with the set in a way that's like, hey, all of a sudden I'm gonna flatten everybody's rarities and make one rare. And it'll be interesting to see how the next artist comes in. Like maybe he keeps token ID 16 as is, and then manipulates everything else, right? So it's kind of like a almost like a graffiti wall, how it's like layers and layers of art could be built on top of it. So we're really hoping to see the social experiment grow.
Interesting. So was it Robness's choice to pass the torch, or was this part of the plan all along? And if so, did Robness have any pushback of his collection being potentially graffitied over?
Yeah, I think we both came when we communicated to him initially. He knew what he was getting himself into, and that's kind of the fun of it all. It's we didn't position this project as something that you want to be investing in as like a strictly investable asset. I think there's other NFTs in our portfolio of projects that is strictly more investable. But yeah, so we told him from the beginning, I was like, hey, this is, you understand the rules, right? Like, obviously we don't own token ID 0, so we can't force you to do something that, that force you to move it. But he's a great artist. He's experimental. He's been in the NFT space for many, many years. I would consider one of the founding folks in the NFT art space. So he kind of knew what he was getting into and loved the kind of more experimental nature of the Publico project series. Like if the next person overrides a lot of this, that's kind of part of the fun, right? I think he knows what the kind of value add he's presented.
So what did it take for Robness to be able to be the winner of this token ID 0?
It was kind of a matter of just because I was token ID 0, the very first owner of it. So I had my own art up there too, and then I kind of went through my network of folks that I knew that was interested in helping out and participating, and I passed on the torch to them. And now Robness is now going to go through his network of folks that he knows, artists that he knows that are hopefully interested enough to become the next torchbearer, and hopefully we can pass it on onwards like that.
So it's the same collection, but these NFTs actually change when that torch gets passed on to somebody else.
Yeah. So whenever it's passed to somebody else, that person can manipulate it in a way that they so choose. So it's like we're kind of flipping the equation of what an NFT is. When we look at a Bored Ape, it's a Bored Ape. You don't expect it to change, or it doesn't all of a sudden become trash art, right? But we're thinking that, hey, what if we made an NFT that is meant to change? In fact, it is malleable. And you're not really owning a static asset anymore, but something that that reflects change with whoever is a new owner of it, right? And that's really interesting to us, and we're and that's why we kind of branded it in this more experimental bucket
Mhm.
of work from us that we build these not with intent um, of there to be money or anything. It's more so we build these with intent of communicating ideas about what an NFT can and can't be.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really interesting. I know you said that this isn't really an NFT that you'd recommend, investing in. That's not really the focus. It's more of an experiment. But just trying to understand this a little bit better. So there's one NFT right now in this collection that's different than the rest. So right now, I mean, I would assume that's probably the most valuable token in the collection. Will that token still be more valuable once somebody else is in control of the token ID 0 and then the metadata changes?
Well, I think it depends on the norms of how
Mhm.
people operate with the set of metadata. Um,
Mhm.
I do know that 16 was sold quite easily after it was changed in metadata, so the market reacted fairly fast there. Um,
Interesting.
but I wouldn't be surprised if the next artist keeps 16 as is and says, I'm not touching that one and I'm gonna leave, I'm gonna change the other ones. And then maybe the next artist would do the same and the same and the same, and this kind of and it would eventually build up a culture where it was like, let's, because it's meant to be a series of artists participating, like they understand that they don't want to ruin the previous person's work, right? So
Right.
token ID 000 was kind of like was my work, and that was kind of left as is, and 16 may now be left as is, and the next artist could come in and uh, interject in their way. So we're trying to build up a culture where it's um, where we leave the best parts and inject our best parts into the set.
So are you encouraging the current owner to you know, pass it off to someone in his community that's not necessarily already a part of the proof of beauty community to try to grow it overall?
Yeah. I've been very open minded about that to him. We've been just kind of bouncing back and just trying to figure out who that can be, and having that person reach out to us if we don't know who that is, and kind of build a relationship there between artists and artists to see how we can grow this, and also grow respectively both of our relationships and brands.
Hmm. It's like a community driven curated collection. That's very cool.
Yeah. So it was a very whimsical project that came out of like a random seeing a physical piano and somebody playing it at an airport, and we're like, let's make that into an NFT, and
Hmm.
here we are.
Very
So
cool.
David, you have like a lot of artists now, doing things within Proof of Beauty, and you have several collections that have recently came out. Do you see yourself more as like a art blocks, art house type deal where you have a lot of different collections and some of them may be made by, different artists? Or do you see yourself more as just an NFT project?
um I can definitely say between the two, we lean a little bit more as the project side, as in that we don't have external interest when it comes to creating platforms like an art blocks, where art block as a platform takes a 10% cut of all the mints on there, blah blah blah, however to do it. We're a little bit more about how do we create a completely verticalized IP that we created from scratch, and that usually does mean that we will and hope to continue to collaborate with other artists in realizing this whole net new project. Um, we have been approached, and something that we have considered about how do we scale some of the technologies that we built into platforms, but um, it's kind of just not been my creative interest, for lack
Hmm.
of a better word. We're uniquely positioned that we're not, you know, expected to have venture capital growth pucks, mainly because we're not venture capital backed. So that allows us to stay within this creative IP realm. And yeah, so I guess between personal ambition and incentive alignment, we're not in a place where we want to become art blocks. We're ETH block art and those things. I do think we're equipped to do so. Just not right now.
Okay. That
Interesting.
makes sense.
So
I want to talk a little. Go ahead, Logan.
go ahead.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
gonna say that.
Yeah, I was gonna.
You want to rock paper scissors for it?
Okay, let's do it. Okay, go ahead.
All right, bet. Okay, so David, a lot of people in the community keep talking about how this is the most slept on project in the NFT space. I mean, in my opinion, it has the coolest tokenomics. You're doing the coolest things of any NFT, platform or project, whatever you prefer to call it, that I've seen out there. So do you kind of like or prefer to have this small community of really, really heavily interested and invested like members? Or at some point, do you think, all right, now's the time we need to really expand? And at what point would that be?
Yeah. That's a great question, and that's been something that we've been working on. And then obviously a bigger brand doesn't hurt. I don't think that we in any way have want to impede our growth, but we do think about it more deliberately. Like between co-founder and I, we both are joking but very seriously saying that this is our last job, as in like we don't plan to leave this career path that we're setting ourselves into. And that means we're both young 20s kids, right, like building this, and that means we want to build and grow something that's very sustainable and a community that's sustainable. So we have been consistently approached by NFT promoters that wants us to pay them for promotions. We've been approached by a lot of these different mechanics, and just out of the spirit of what we believe is putting money to the right places and the right people, we haven't participated in any of those kind of efforts. And I think those are very short-term growth efforts that obviously can have pros and cons, but we value sustainable growth over those, and that's just more of a personal philosophy than anything else. So we are growing very organically. We haven't asked a specifically influencer and told them here's money for saying good words about us. We really ask folks to really own what they do, like what we do, and we kind of colloquially kind of call any community member, like we call them being pod pilled, as in like the Matrix reference. We try to pod pill more people, and I think that just sometimes that just is a slow progress because we're not a PFP project. We don't have the pumpnomics that other projects can enjoy. Because of that, we don't just play in the business of paying an influencer 5 ETH to say and endlessly shill about this project. And our project has a certain uniqueness and complexity to it that makes it hard for folks to frankly fully grok what we're doing, and that's fine. And that's something that as artists we're learning how to better communicate our ideas, and that's something that we're learning on a day. How do we better communicate our brand? And that's something that between the founder and I, co-founder and I, we've been talking about this nearly every week about, are we doing a good job of communicating ourselves? And we see steady growth. And obviously when the market is good around like London Gift, that always brings in a new boon of people. And we always try our best to retain as many of those folks as pilled community members. But when it comes to the long-term horizon, we think it's inevitable that we will become one of the mainstay NFT studios, just because I think we have the ambitions to stay for that long. We have a studio that has the resources and positioning to create all the coolest, newest IPs. Because I think that certain other projects are kind of scoped by either the IP that they have already created, like Bored Apes, the Yuga Labs, but behind Bored Apes, they're kind of within that domain of work. Whereas we can really stretch ourselves out and really, I don't think there's a lot of things that we can release and people be like, oh wait, that really came out of nowhere. So we are positioning ourselves in that way to have a structure of an organization that allows us to creatively grow and grow with our community. And we build a lot of our projects in a way that rewards community members who have been here for a very long time. A lot of our longtime community members are DAO members, and they've been working in a DAO, and a DAO intends to deploy capital to them. We've given airdrops to folks. Like the Publico is all going to be airdropped projects to our community members. So we're going to be the tortoise, I guess, in the tortoise versus the rabbit race here. When they're sleeping, we'll still be chugging along, growing ourselves.
So, David, on the topic of community, and you mentioned the DAO, the London DAO recently passed a vote to start burning London gifts. So what's the incentive of this, and what are you doing here?
Yeah, a few things. I think this has been a project that the community wanted to do since the hard fork occurred. And the main, I guess, spiritual reason was just, EIP 1559 is all about burning ETH. And there was like, why don't we, London Gift is about London, about EIP 1559. Why don't we, burn the very NFT that celebrates this burning this burning effect that was the result of the hard fork, right? So that was the main inspiration behind it, right? That was the main intent, was that we should have a project that have a burning effect, where NFTs can be burnt. So we've been kind of jamming on that specific mechanic for a while, and has been passed that we will be building a new NFT that is only accessible if you burn London Gift or burn itself. And I like to think that this could have a lot of interesting effects. For one, I think it will obviously give price performance for London Gift a boost, as in supply shrinks. And there's going to be a curative force where people are curating by burning, by removing less desirable London Gift from the supply, and that will effectively be a curation force for the whole set. And I think that's in itself very fun and very fascinating to see. And I think that would also help spur price movements just in both respective markets. There's a lot of, I think, good reasons that we think London Burn would be very fun. As a studio, we've been thinking about doing a burn project for a year now, just never had the chance to do it. And now, stars are aligning, and we're like, yeah, this could be the time that we finally do a burn project. So that's kind of where the context behind burning London Gift comes from, both pragmatically and very artistically. We just want to do it.
It's an interesting point you make about the curation aspect of burning. I never really considered that, but the people will be most willing to burn the ones that they like the least. So it immediately becomes a community curated collection by offering that. That's so cool. So I'll pull up the OpenSea for the London Gifts now. We can take a look at what they've been doing lately. So the floor price is just about 0.1. I might have to pick some more up to do some burning. That's pretty cool. So can you tell us anything about this new NFT that will be rewarded to the burners?
I'm currently still working on the generative art for it. That's been both a fun and frustrating experience, just because you're trying to build something that looks visually pleasing, and half the time you don't even know what you're doing. But I can definitely say that at a purely technical level, we're really going to be pushing the boundaries of what an NFT can do. We're doing it fully on chain, as in it's fully SVG art that is on chain. There's no IPFS hash. But we're still trying to do it at the quality of art that we hold ourselves to. So that's been a very fascinating technical constraint about it. And there's a lot of reasons why we're doing it like that. For one, we get some technical benefits of that. I'm not going to go too deeply into that. We do get some technical benefits if we do it fully on chain. But point two is, as a studio, we're really trying to progress ourselves to a future where our artworks can outlast us by decades even, right? And that means we need to build art that is more long-term sustainable. So that really means we're focused on building things with IPFS, with ROE, with fully on-chain art. I think that's the kind of direction we want to trend towards, and that's what we're trying to do, is create things that is sustainable long term.
Interesting. So the fully on-chain art hasn't really been too feasible because of gas costs and the space that it takes to store the art on-chain. How are you going to work around this?
There's a lot of magic that will be happening, I guess. Mainly, we are incredibly inspired by how Uniswap v3 protocol, how in their context, their LP positions are NFTs, 721s. And if you go in OpenSea, you see that visual. That visual is actually fully on chain, and generated all on chain, as if it's like a Mad Lib that they went in and then they filled out the Mad Lib with like, oh, this is ETH, this is DAI, and then this is the price it's trading right now and whatever. And we realize there's a really powerful avenue that offers us, if we can do that with generative art, is where we can Mad Lib SVGs in a way that could create net new visually interesting artworks. So I think Uniswap kind of inspired us and paved the way. I know there's other projects that do fully on-chain art that we're learning from a lot. But I think Uniswap v3 really showed that the quality you can get with on-chain art. And we're like, okay, if they can do that, then I think we can push the barrier further with SVGs on-chain.
Fascinating. So let's talk about the London token for a second. Can you give us a little background on why you created this token and what you've been doing with it since its inception?
Yeah. The token was kind of just part of the, what do you want to call it, the festival of the London project. For a month before the project was launched, before the hard fork, we had the London ERC20 token, and you were only, I guess, able to mint it via a very specific gas price. So you don't have to pay money for it. There was no ICO. There was no whatever yield farming mechanic. It was only mintable or retrievable if you were to mint it at a gas price of exactly 15.59 GWay in celebration of the EIP 1559 hard fork. So we've been allowing that to mint for all the way up to the hard fork, and it shuts off there. And about, I keep forgetting this number, about 20 something million has been minted. I could be totally wrong. The London stats will correct me right now. But yeah, so we allowed these to mint, and now there's a locked up supply of about 20 something million that you can't mint anymore because the hard fork already occurred. So I was completely off. So 46 million. I was counting it differently there. But there's 46 million London ERC20 tokens. And this token really now, initially its main utility was, if you wanted to buy the gift NFT, you had to pay in London tokens. That was its first utility. But now it's kind of transitioned itself to a governance token for the London DAO. And two is it's going to start to transition itself into kind of the core social currency, if you will, of the Proof of Beauty ecosystem of projects. So it won't just be, for London anymore. It's, in the hash world, we're going to allow it to be used for certain features. When we open the shop for physical prints, we're going to denominate in London tokens. We have a lot of other efforts. The Burn project will require London tokens as well. All these kind of projects, they're meant to compound this effect need of the London token being the glue, or being the main currency of utility around enjoying the Proof of Beauty projects more and more. So that's kind of the direction we're moving towards, and probably in a few months we can really push that direction forward. And between then, we've seen a lot of very fascinating price movements. That's the best way to say, around the London token. It's been trading at highs of 4 cents, 4 and 5 cents, and lows of right now at $20.027. So there's certainly a certain amount of volatility to it, but it's fascinating to see this token being grown really out of this really fun experiment that uh, you know was just about gas prices, and now it's a whole full currency with a really non-trivial market cap.
Yeah, and the fact that you gave it out for free, I think is the coolest part, and it also adds to your points earlier about longevity and kind of not trying to be a cash grab right now, but instead of trying to reward the early holders, the early adopters, and then adding value for them as you go. I think that's the coolest thing that's been done with ERC20s in the NFT space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been our big philosophy, and we've been very fortunate to have made a lot of income from other projects. So we were allowed to focus on building projects that short term doesn't strictly mean we make money. But not to say I don't own a lot of London tokens, right? Like I do own quite a bit. Both of us own a lot, not just for governance, but because we believe in building London ERC20 token do something that's going to be very successful.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both hoping to focus on breaking price barriers within a year. So yeah, it's not as if we're purely altruistic here. We operate in a space where it's not hard to speculate into any project, but we do things usually very fair launch.
Anyway, we want to talk about colored loot, but real quick, I want to talk about where people could get London if they want to. I know that I voted on a DAO proposal to send, I think it was $30 million worth to Sushi Swap. So is that the best place to get it right now? Or I saw you did something with Matcha as well.
It's Sushi Swap is the preferred place now. If you want to have I think the better UI is just using Matcha. That's me shamelessly plugging them. But if you go on our website, on London website, we do have trading links that goes out to Matcha. And that would be a really good place just to, if you want to, reasonably speculate in the token, you can do so there.
There you go. And I put that link in the chat for anyone who's curious.
So David, like Logan said, we wanted to touch on your newest project coming out, Colored Loot. Could you explain that to us?
Oh yeah. So this was actually largely a project that the community really wanted us to do, and we were kind of hesitant to do it, but we finally bit the bullet. But with the London gift and even hash, people were really excited about the color palettes that we use. We have this massive JSON object of like a few thousand color palettes that I've kept for years on my computers, and I use that usually to do generative art, and that has been where we kind of get our color sources from. But people were like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we you take those colors palettes and made them as NFTs? And we're like, well, why would we do that? And then it was like, it's just going to be like a block of 4 colors. Like, why would you guys want that? But then eventually we realized it's kind of because of the loot projects. We kind of realized there's a big opportunity to release these as color palettes, mainly because they can be fully on chain. And we kind of realized there's a 2 birds 1 stone effect here, right? Is when we build a London burn project, which you get a burn gift, it's fully on chain, but where are we going to get color palettes, right? And then we're like, well, we can solve that problem by making color palettes as NFTs, right? And if they're NFTs, we can literally call in a contract function and Solidity, get color palette, and you could get a color palette that's fully on chain and owned by somebody, right? So that's why we're doing it, is because we believe that these color palettes, if we put them on chain, this allows us to be better artists with future projects, as we can use this collection of color palettes to do future work. And 2 is people kind of want something extra that's fun to come out of their project. So we're giving out these palettes to anybody who owns a London gift with that very color palette. But the cool catch is it's like first comer, first first serve, whatever. First serve. I'm butchering that quote. But so if there's 4 line gift with this exactly same colors palette, only one of them, whoever came in first, will receive it. So there's hopefully some fun games to be played here, and also hopefully just a spur to the market of London Gift. Hopefully, folks will be excited at participating in colored loot.
And do you know how many unique color palettes there are for London Gifts?
Oh, I do not know. I do know there's a few duplicates out there. Definitely under a few thousand.
Okay.
But I genuinely do not know how many there is.
If an outside developer wanted to make something in collaboration with this, could they use your NFT color palette, kind of like Loot has as a goal, where like anyone can go in and create something, and then you could potentially mint it with your color palette that you own? Is that
I don't think there's anything stopping them.
Okay.
It's fully going to be open source. The colors are going to be on chain. It's SVG art as well. I wouldn't be surprised if the London DAO supports and gives artists grants to create projects that uses colored loot as part of its experience, right? So yeah, I think that's totally within the realm, and we expect it. It's not something that as a studio we're gonna go and do deal flow and reach out to artists to force them to use it. It's not within our interest. It's more like, here's a great resource. If you want to use it, it's available. If not, that's totally fine. We're going to be using it in-house. Hopefully the London DAO will support projects that do use it. But between that's as much external support that we may push. But if it all of a sudden blows up and everybody using it, obviously we would put more time into presenting it more approachably for other developers.
So Mexican Crypt in the chat says, where do we go to learn about future proof of beauty projects before we get priced out? And Mexican Crypt right here, we just showed you one. If you pick up a London Gift, you'll be able to mint one of these when they come out, and there will only be a few thousand of them. So if you want to get in early, just snag a London Gift and be ready to mint. Would you say that's correct, David?
Yeah, we got the Burn project going on. That's the main two. NFTs, we have a shop we're building, so it's quite a busy time for us, but our proof of beauty Twitter is probably the main place for updates. But please do join our Discord, discord.gg/POB. We try to do a pretty good job of announcing all of our progress there, weekly cadence, just to kind of give you guys all an update there. So that's probably the best two places. If you just want to learn what we're doing, because it sometimes can get quite a bit crazy and a lot of things are happening. So we have those big 3 products coming. And I think you're looking at preview of the shop. I'm pretty excited about a shop for all physical experience, because there's so many asks by folks to have art prints, merchandise from us. They want our signature on like a hoodie. That's been a big ask. Phone cases has been a big one too. There's been so many asks, and we hoping to support it with the shop that we're working on.
So do you have any plans for those London tokens that you'll be getting from the shop?
In part, we as a studio, strictly as a studio, we don't own any. London, correction, we don't own it. We now own some, but we don't own a lot of London. The studio itself doesn't own a lot of London. We personally own a lot of London. And so this is in part a way for the studio to have a skin in its game, to own a lot of London, that to do things to grow the project and have a speculative reason to be part of these projects. 2 is one of the big things for us is we want to help stabilize the price a bit of the London token. And I think one of the big ways is continuing to offer some of its utility, implied utility. And one of the big things we can do there is just say the print is at this fixed price. And we would, a print is so many US dollars, right? And that helps kind of peg it a bit and stabilize the price a bit. And that's why we're also offering London tokens, denominated in London tokens. But yeah, like we as a studio plan to hold it this, for our own uses, maybe in the future to do other interesting projects with it. But right now we don't have any strict plans for any acquired London as a studio, beyond just holding it. And I think holding itself would do a lot of good, just effectively freezing up supply. So price performance could increase in a way that will draw new attention into the community.
Very cool. So once again, you're adding more value to the London token. And I think it's probably supposed to be ambiguous how much this print would actually cost if you were to go out and get it yourself. But the studio must be fronting a lot of money to be kind of trying to peg the London itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously, if it's London, it's going to be very fascinating when the London price goes ups and down so much. So maybe one day we're paying money to do this, one day we're profiting from it, whatever.
Right.
We're fine with that, to be honest, because we believe London tokens is worth a lot more in the future than it is today. But two is just, yeah, like we are capital intensive enough, unintensive enough as an organization that we can build these kind of things and kind of eat a short term instability. So we're fine with that. And the prices of prints are fairly reasonable. I mean, they're absurdly high quality prints. These are from like a very, very good print shop that does prints for museums, frames for museums. So we're really doing the highest quality that we can do. And so we're really excited about just offering, like it's not even just like I told them, like, if we break even, then I'm even fine. If we're losing money, I'm still fine. Just like, don't burn the whole studio down with this project. That's about it. So that's kind of the only big things. But the key thing for us, both of us, was we want quality. We don't really want to just do something that other folks can do. We really wanted to reach out to another artist, another studio that prides itself with quality and get it done correctly and do it right. So yeah. So it's been a very long process for us, contacting studios and seeing which ones can accommodate all of the needs that we want with giving out good quality prints.
Interesting. So David, let me get your take on the Coinbase NFT platform and also Facebook rebranding to a metaverse company.
Yeah. The second one, I have a lot less of an impression, as I think I just heard about it moments before I came on here. The Coinbase NFT thing, I mean, personally, I've known about it for a little longer. I think before the announcement, just from talks in the sewers between folks. I think it just makes a lot of sense. Like it'd be very dumb of Coinbase not to do it. I think there's a big thing about it. Like OpenSea is a 2.5% rake on the whole entire NFT space, which is absolutely insane to have a 250 basis point, claim on all NFT sales. And and so I wouldn't say, and I think a lot of us can consider OpenSea not the most perfect NFT marketplace or organization. There's been so much controversy with them, and it just doesn't stop. So it feels like there's a huge opportunity that a lot of organizations are seeing, right? And I think Coinbase is, I say, hey, we have the money, we're well managed, we have a good brand and reach. It's like, why not? It really, doesn't, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like Nifty Gateway, exists, and with Gemini, so like it was. I was surprised it didn't come any sooner. Like I thought it would be already out by now, but yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 0% fee model or even lower, just like 0.5%, 50 basis points, even makes sense to me. Like this seems to be where the money's at, right? In this business, because it's like you can operate a super rare, a foundation, but those projects, unfortunately, just people don't sell multi-million-dollar Bored Apes on there, right? But people do that on OpenSea, and OpenSea, Zora Protocol. These guys are all now fighting, and Rarible and a billion other competitors are all fighting for that 2.5% opportunity rake, right? And that user base. So, the fight is going to be good. I mean, if I can sell London Gift without that 2.5% fee, I'm always going to be happy. So,
most definitely. Do you think this is bullish for NFTs in general?
I don't think in the short term it's going to be that bullish. I think long term it will be. Short term, I'm just leaning on the side where the market sentiment, at least the energy, feels like it's just doesn't have the hype, but it doesn't mean the capital inflows are not coming. I mean, we're still seeing a lot of big sells for a lot of the blue chips, and I think, and also with ETH performing and BTC performing so freaking well, it's like you gotta consider the opportunity cost seriously. Like, should I be an ETH? Should I be in a monkey? Right? Like, I think people are like, like the people are all tweeting about, like, oh, it's gonna access millions and millions of people all of a sudden to NFTs. But I keep coming back to just like, so many people are gonna be outpriced from blue chips. So then we're gonna be, and then the current PFP collection of new projects are just simply not of the quality or of the brand that I feel like people that can be priced in for them will want to own those. Because I think the high quality ones, like in Bored Ape, Cool Cats,
London Gift,
Future World, London Gift, these are all eventually going to get really aggressively priced out folks, right? And like I don't think a lot of people can buy a Bored Ape now. That thing is, no short change amount of money. That thing's price floors are at 40, 30 ETH now, I think 30 something ETH. Which at 4K US dollar, that's somebody's salary for like a year if you work in Silicon Valley, right? Like,
right.
So I'm not too bullish on it, but I just think that it's long term having a genuine, like, Intel versus AMD, Nvidia versus whatever, like having two giants fight it out will always give us a benefit, because right now OpenSea has a very sluggish product development cycle, 2.5% fee, really bad customer support. Just to have another player long term willing to tough it out with them, have the money to tough it out, have the brand to tough it out with them. I think the long term we're going to see better products, lower fees, and just an overall better space, right? And that's what I'm very bullish on. I don't think short term or people are going to be able to dump their NFTs on normies as much as they think they can. That could, but I could be totally wrong. I'm not saying I have a lot of conviction around
perspective, because I mean the general thing is that they're going to be able to dump on the normies, right? So it's interesting to see the other side. I really haven't even heard that argument before. So
this is like coming from somebody who always have held a more pragmatic position on all of the NFT craziness. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you have that kind of disposable amount of money to speculate, you've already started to speculate. And I think the crypto Coinbase NFT marketplace will hopefully onboard more folks that have capital inflows to speculate on these, but it's hard to say, right? Mainly because I don't have a clear picture of the user bases right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see your point, and it's going to be really interesting to see it play out. But unfortunately, we're out of time today. Ryan, do you have any last questions for David?
No, I think we covered it. Maybe a couple off-stream questions, but no.
Yes, yeah. I do have a few questions for you if you could stick around for a second, David.
Yeah, happy to.
That'd be great. Everyone, make sure you go check out Proof of Beauty. The Twitter is in the description below. This is one you're not going to want to miss out on 5 years, 10 years down the road. This will be a household name, mark my words. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. We will see you on Friday. Peace out.